Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings from the Digital Heritage Preservations platform. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I hope you doing great wherever you are, all over the world. And this is Innovation for a Generative African Generational Excellence. We are waiting for some minutes as we're going to have some guests to join us live straight away. And I hope you'll be enjoying the conversation from all of experts from the group. And yeah, without any further ado, I hope we are about to start soon as the guests are going to joining. Yes, I think we can start now. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to everyone joining us from different parts of the world. On the behalf of irage and the Digital Heritage Preservations platform, I warmly welcoming you to a living archive, the June series, where we looking how the heritage without borders can look like within this framework and collaboration of what we intend to breeding as a borderless digital heritage preservation ecosystem for a common future. Today's gathering is more than a conversation. It is an invitation to explore how humanity can preserve, connect, activate, and regenerate cultural memory for future generations. Our theme challenged us this beyond archives as repositories and toward archives as living infrastructures that I'd like to ask everyone who's joining us right here to drop the comment. If you guys are catching us very well, let me know. Liz, you're most welcome. Issues? Yes. As we've been reflecting in today's visual framework, thanks for joining Lee. And our conversation revolves around four interconnected pillars. We are going to assess the preserve. How can we resist safeguarding knowledge, traditions, memory, and cultural expressions? How can we connect, building bridges across communities, disciplines, institutions, and nations? How can we really activate within transforming heritage into a living resource for education, creativity, innovation, and social impact? We have also to regenerate. In order to ensuring that heritage continues to evolve, adapt, and create value for future generations. Throughout our discussion, I invite participants to reflect on how these four dimensions can shape a true borderless digital heritage ecosystem. And as you're joining, Lee, are you already available so we can start? Lee, how are you doing? Leeds, we can hear you. Do you mind to come and speak up? Leeds, can you hear me well? All right. As you're trying to connect, let me know when you ready. And I'd like to ask each and every one of you to go in the comment section and see the question we've dropped there, and let's have your hints. Let's have your perspective on it. And I hope you guys are going to. This is a converse. It's a conversion. It's a conversion. We are going to really have this discussion together. Your contribution matters as we are building a borderless ecosystem along this. Each voice really counts. And after that, to begin our journey together, let's start with this question to everyone. How can cultural memory become living infrastructure for future generations? Lead, are you around? You're among the convener that we're going to have along the way. And it's a great pleasure to have you as a digital nerd, someone who's investing in AI, who's really contributing a lot, not only to building the ecosystem, however, to assess how the authenticity along the way will be critical, because beyond of diversity, equity, and inclusion, we cannot neglect, leave behind that belongingness is critical. Lich, if you're around, you can go ahead. Uh, how can cultural memory become living infrastructure for future generation? This is a question addressed to each and everyone from here. And as you'll be responding to these, I'd like you to assess what would it look like if heritage were not only preserved, but actively mobilized to strengthen communities, inform decision making, inspire creativity, and foster global understanding. Leads, we can hear you. Do you mind to start by introducing yourself, sir? Leads, we can't hear you. We can't hear you, frankly speaking. All right. Sorry. I've muted most of. Let's start with segment one. Preserve. Most people likely to be in ambiguity when they talk about preserve and conservation, preservation. But we'd like to assess how the preservation is likely to be applied for the cultural heritage, whereas the conservation likely to be explicit to the natural heritage, even though there is no way to distinguish all of this intertwined heritage. So as we are imagining preservation in the digital age, we can start to ask ourselves, when we think about preservation today, we may say that we are no longer talking about physical collection. We are also preserving languages. We are preserving oral histories. We are preserving traditional knowledges, the digital echoes, the community memories, and evolving cultural practices. But the question here likely to be, what should the future generations inherit from us? If you're among the millennial, you may have something you've inherited from previous generation. So it's a time to you to start wondering, why am I going to inherit the next generation? Be it my children, be it the nephews, be it the family surrounding, being the large community at large. So you may wonder, what should the future generations inherit from us? And as we're talking about this period of preservation, you may also wonder which forms of heritage remain most vulnerable today. As we're losing the memory, I'd like to, as we're losing this, we're heading with the digital age, we may wonder how this loss of memory, the perception and the capability of memorizing what happened a decade, 3 to 5 decades ago, it's something which is really an obstacle to the sustainable preservation of intangible heritage. Let me know in the comment what you see from your perspective, what you think is uh, tremendously being lost because we no longer have his platform, the digital age, also bringing this the digital approach for the communication for the evening gathering. So I think in that intangible heritage is one of the forms of heritage remaining most vulnerable today. And how can communities become active custodians of their own heritage? I'm telling you, they must first keep in mind what we've been discussing from our June series, a Living Archive June series, where we've been seeing how shifting from perceiving the culture's memory, however, treating it as something to create, design with, toward this status of really comprised as an economic infrastructure. And also, you may wonder, how can communities become active custodians of their own heritage? That's what we've been trying to responding to. So, what role should digital technologies play in safeguarding cultural memory? Among what role should digital technologies play in safeguarding cultural memory? Please allow me to present a bit of the solution we are breeding. We've been in this for a while. We are breeding a reliable, alive digital infrastructure for Africa's cultural assets. So allow me to present to you where we are now and what we mean when we are talking about what can really digital solutions contribute to the preservation. Remember, we are still in the preserve segment, understanding how the borderless heritage preservationist ecosystem may look like. So, without any further ado, let's go to this platform. If you can see well, let's do this. Yep, let's go home. Yep, we are bringing a new cultural economy where we do preserve, where we learn, and along the way we create value. I told you that innovation for regenerative African generational excellence, its acronym is irage, even though comes from a Kinyarwandan word, literally means inheritance. Irage, because we're here to empower creators, communities, and institutions to preserve. But beyond of that, we have this quick action. You can upload assets if you you can upload assets. You can start learning. You can explore stories. You can visit a museum. You can sell and earn. So this is a holistic approach to solve cultural identity devaluation. When you come to the explore, this is actually the digital repository. We have embraced the Graham industry, galleries, libraries, archive, and museum, plus digital content so that we can have a reliable source of information for now and the future generations. You see, when you comes into, right. When you comes into the galleries, you see you can find the galleries, the city, their paintings, the photographs along the way, and when you comes to also when you back to the museum, the same. You can have a virtual reality. I mean, the VR, the virtual tours of these museums. You see, and when you comes to the library, the same. Plus digital content, of course, the Graham, the 3D models, these virtual realities, these virtual exhibitions, all are the product that will be being explored under this feature. And the marketplace, so for that, we as we've been talking about the preservation part, I think this digital repository, it really means a lot. You can explore a curated library. And it really shows how this partnership is critical. You can be locally, you can be continental, regional, all abroad, but having the solutions. Let me give some of the example. Last year, I've reached out to Dr. Albert, the president of Global Digital Heritage, and I've been assessing how we can work together. And along the conversation we had, he became interested to visit Rwanda. As he came, I've organized to meet up with the government institutions who are in charge of the museums, the archives, heritage sites, and the language, Kinyarwanda language itself. So he has been interested in intangible heritage, the lock arts, because they are mostly in digitalization, having those 3D models, landscape, the tangible heritage, as I'm saying. As they came, we made a deal with the Rwanda Cultural Heritage Academy, and in March this year, he has been here for the execution. So we got a tremendous work. We have digitalized 2 caves. We have captured the virtual tours of 2 museums. We have digitized all over 300 assets, and the models are about to be uploaded soon. So this is what we mean by a global borderless collaboration, a borderless heritage preservationist ecosystems. So this is one of a good example. And as we continue from the preserve segment, let's continue to this. All right. So you guys, let me know. Let me know if you're catching up. If you are together with us, drop your comment. Drop your comment. I'd like to, to assess if we are together with a huge public. So, and do not hesitate to come and contribute. I told you there is a link in the comment. If you'd like to contribute, don't hesitate to come and contribute along the way. So we are in the StreamYard studio. I've sent a link to you. Heading to the segment 2, I'd like to you guys having this assessment to the connect. When we're talking about the borderless heritage preservationist ecosystem, we don't only preserve from the perspective of sustainable development goals, where we do starting from macro to micro, and the 17th, you already know that it's all about the partnership for goals. After that segment of preserve, we have to consider heritage as a global commons. This is another things to to come together and digest. Still that subjective debate, but within this connect, we may say that the phrase heritage without borders, it suggests a future where knowledge and cultural memory can be shared responsibly along geographical, institutional, and disciplinary boundaries. But the question we can use to approach this connect segment, it's all about how can we foster great collaboration between communities and institutions. I'd like to repeat this. How can we foster a great collaboration between communities and institutions? If I've reached out to different institutions and people and inviting them to have this conversation, some have confirmed, others denied. However, up to now, those who have confirmed are yet showing up. While I've given them whatever required, where a link to joining, where So next is to wonder how this connect can be a reliable one, instead of not only common understanding and mutual respect. However, this win-win on the table. So sometimes we fail due to some people who betrayed us, if I may say. There is no way I can not carry out these a living archive June series, because I don't have those people who committed to contribute as a guest, and they are not here. So you guys all following? This is a confession. Do not hesitate to join us, as I've been saying. So again, you may wonder what barriers prevent meaningful access to heritage resources. Drop in a comment what you think are the barriers that prevent meaningful access to heritage resources. Most people, when it comes to the Africa context, they like to explain the colonialism legacy. And within this, sometimes we face the complexity, whether inferiority or superiority. And on another hand, particularly when it comes to the restitution, repatriation, return, it's still a subjective debate. On one side, they have been saying, you guys are not really having infrastructure to host these cultural assets. On another hand, there is no way to release those artifacts which are contributing to the GDP, and I'm releasing this. And on another hand, most people also likely to raise the issue of compensation, because the restitution without repatriation, rematriation, and the interior of those 5 areas become an issue. So, from a perspective and what I've heard from most of the people, I may say that the barrier, these are some of critical barriers preventing meaningful access to heritage resources. And how can technology support intellectual dialogue rather than cultural homogenization? This is what we're saying. Because when you assess what digital heritage, what the digital transformation bringing to us, it's an opportunity on one way or another. But if we assess very well, we found a hidden agenda of cultural homogenization. Lead, are you around? Can you hear very well? If so, let me know so that I can have some of critical question to go with. It's great to have you in the studio. Lead, do you mind to start by introducing yourself? Lead. Oh. So still you're experiencing maybe connectivity issue. Can you hear me? Lead. Oh, so sorry, so sorry. This some of the barriers also. So these are some of the barriers. We've been talking about how to. Yes, Leach, can you really catch us very well? If so, please introduce yourself. Lee, can you hear me well? All right. So sorry, Rich, for that we can hear you. We can really hear you. You're experiencing some of. Yes. We've been on the way to connect, and what are like the barriers prevent this meaningful access to heritage resources. However, we can also being assessing how can technology support intercultural dialogue rather than cultural marginalization. So this is why we say the digitalization is the foundation of digitalization. So it's a time particularly for vulnerable communities, underserved communities, let's say, so that we can start to having their assets within this digital transformation. If not so, there is no way those AI may be trained without having basic assets from that have been being digitalized. So, and I think the way this technological support, how can technology can support intercultural dialogue rather than cultural homogenization. We can give even this example of this conversion. This is what we're doing. This is what technology is supporting. But beyond of that, I'll be showing you when I come back to the Digital Heritage Preservationist platform. I'll show you how this platform is also supporting the intercultural dialogue along the way. So another question we may wonder within this connecting segment, it's all about what partnerships are needed to create a global heritage ecosystem. That's what I've been expressing from the top. A win-win, common understanding, a mutual respect, and of course, we would like to bring on the table this concept of belonging, because most of the people likely to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but beyond of that, there is still a community you're coming through. So it's better, the belongingness also could be something to consider while we securing those partnerships. So I'd like to ask the audience, please share one word that describes what connection through heritage means to them. I mean, please, I invite the participants in the chat to share one word describes what connection through heritage means to you. I'd repeat, what does really connection through heritage means to you? After assessing this borderless heritage preservationist ecosystem collaboration, after assessing its preserve, connect, here we're going with activate. Let's say now we have the heritage that is preserved, we have the connections, whether the technical, financial, strategic, governmental, public, the PPP, public-private partnership model, and we have the product. We normally have museums, we normally have archives, we normally have libraries, but why are they fail? Sorry to say this. Why are they seems like are going to fade within a decades of to come? This is why we bring on the table this segment of activate the heritage. So first and foremost, for those people we've been together from our June's LA Silly, we've been seeing how there's a living archive is not passive. It inspires learning, creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, and civic participation. If you totally agree with me, let's go together throughout these questions. How can heritage become more relevant to younger generations? This is a part of activating, because if the young generations are treating heritage as out of fashion, as something which is not trending, it's our task to assess how can heritage become more relevant to young generations. And along this activation, I think each and everyone now understand what does technology playing along the way. What does this working together? What does this digital heritage preservationist ecosystem we are breeding now, globally, continental, regionally? What is going to contribute not only preservation but through the perspective of activation? So the new way of, the digital storytelling, it's one of the tools to use. However, beyond of that, we can also wonder, under this activation, what innovative approaches are emerging in the digital age. So the emerging technologies, particularly in the digital heritage, are particularly assessed within what we may call GRAM, galleries, libraries, archive, and museum. So again, this is where we found the virtual realities, let's say XR, AR plus augmented reality, VR plus AR. Let's say the 3D models, another way of interacting with the young generation to understand the cultural assets within this engaging, activating way. So we've got this digital storytelling, also it's critical. The immersive storytelling is playing a huge, particularly, and it's a new technology to adopt. There's so-called platforms also, if are not playing holistically, sometimes becomes like other institutions we've been having. So, frankly speaking, the innovative approach nowadays it requires to intersect like 3 to 4 solutions because to solve the issue, there is no way to go with a single solution. And the AI age also is around the way, we can wonder how can artificial intelligence, the immersive technologies I've been saying, and digital storytelling support cultural engagement. For this, it was going to be better to have Rich as an AI entrepreneur along the way. However, the connectivity becomes an issue. But you can understand it. The artificial intelligence, we'd like first to have the data set. So beyond of documentation and the people who likely to following us, you already know the new program we are bringing on the table, a curatorship beyond the museum. Curatorship is a good concept. However, museums, it's not African approach, sorry to say, because you know Shrinium and museum have a differentiate. However, I come to realize we can adapt this curatorship and create something with the community. So this is how I think AI, immersive technologies, and digital storytelling likely to support cultural engagement. And how do we transform archives into platforms for participation? I told you. Let me show you. Let me show you our as I've been showing you. Rich, sorry, the connectivity issue maybe. Would you mind to restart your PC? Refresh. Sorry. Would you mind to refresh, please? Yes. And again, these archives have been static, and we are, as the internal concept of a living archive, likely to emphasize on this. We don't want to have the static. There's like inactive, desactivated archives. We want to have these active platforms where people are interacting, where you can buy, this is a holistic approach I've been emphasizing on from the top. And along this part of activate, I'd like to conclude it with this concept, this reflection saying that when heritage becomes active, it stops being something we merely protect, and it becomes something we continuously use, interpret, and enrich. This is how we activate the heritage. Beyond of preservation, we got this connection. Now we have activated it. We don't sleep and say we done it. No, this is where innovation for regenerative African generation excellence comes in. This is the heritage for future generations. Because when the heritage itself sometimes in English likely to be confused with inheritance. However, in Kinyarwanda, when we use irage, it's something that you inherited. However, you're responsible also to transmit it, to inherit it to the next generation. This is what we mean by regeneration, heritage for future generations. So regeneration asks us to think beyond preservation and access. That's the worst part most of community facing now. When it comes to the preservation, they feel like government institutions are doing it. Some people are preserving the cultural assets, tangible heritage, and not really preserving what's supposed to be preserved, the knowledge, the practice, know-how. That's really critical. Indigenous knowledge system. You're welcome, Lidge. Can you hear me? Lidge? Hello? Hello? Lidge? Oh, sorry, brother. Sorry. It seems like we're not going to make it. However, it was a great pleasure to have you and your contribution. Maybe, can you hear me, Lidge? Oh, la, la. Yes, regeneration asks us to think beyond preservation and access. It really asks us how heritage can continually create new culture, educational, social, and economic value. For those who we've started together, remember what I've showed you, a new cultural economy. Do you remember that? The new cultural economy, that's what we are expressing. That's what we are really mean by this regenerative. It as this regenerative asks us to how heritage can continually create new culture, educational, social, and economic value. We may wonder what does a regenerative heritage ecosystem looks like. So if we've been talking about the dynamicity of heritage, it means that there is no way to really escape a way to create, because there is a say of UNESCO that the culture likely to nurture the creativity. However, I came to gain a statement along the way saying once a culture was a creative. So if what we have as a culture now was someone's creative piece, it means we can not only preserve what we have, but we can learn from it, and of course, creating something to pass to the next generation. So this is what does a regenerative heritage ecosystem looks like. How, again, we may wonder how can heritage strengthen resilience in times of rapid change? I'd like to give an example to Rwanda, the heart of Africa. Now it's 32nd years from 1994, from the tragedy of genocide against the Tutsi in 1994. But when you want to assess how can heritage strengthen resilience in times of rapid change, you may find even from the liberation struggle to fight against, to stop the genocide. This was even the heritage that have been strengthening the resilience, because after what colonialism have saw, it has already become an outcome of what we saw from 1959. As the monarchy chased away, the First Republic comes, and the hot power starts to think now they gain a way to revolt. So they start to chase away the feudal Rwandans. And up to 90, the end of 80s, where the young generations comes together and said, we are enough with being refugees. We'd like to back in the country. So it shows this resilience from how the warriors from our kingdom, even some years back, they have been considering that a great heritage rather than anything. It's a nation. It's having a nation, and beyond of gaining the nation and stopping the genocide against the Tutsis in 1994, they went with breeding the nation from unity and reconciliation to the socioeconomic development strategies. We have realized how to set goals, abahizi, and they've settled Vision 2020, have accomplished, we saw it, and they have inspired us within this regeneration way. Now, we who have been seeing this tremendous work and how heritage strengthens resilience, realize that we can also contribute, also we can give our hand, and hence the digital heritage preservation platform comes in. So we may say that cultural continuity starts from a self-esteem, recognizing who you are, back into the roots. We had a lot of Afro-descent globally back into their roots, learning, trying to reconnect with their ancestors. However, it is making. This is how heritage strengthens resilience in terms of rapid change. And when it comes also to this, I can give an example of this model of ours, Innovation for Regenerative African Generational Excellence, IRAGE. This comes as an outcome. We learn from our parents, let's say those people who have stopped the genocide. And after realizing what they have contributed, meantime, we say, what can we do for now? So the digitalization is going on, the rapid change in emerging technologies. However, the African cultural assets are yet digitized, are leaving behind. So how are we going to train the models without having the data assets? How are we going to have reliable cultural source of information if the living archive, the elders, cultural knowledge bearers are going every single day? And we normally know that all traditions have been our way of preservation for a while. So hence we came up with this solution to really see. This is a kind of an example of how can heritage strengthen resilience in terms of rapid change. Again, as we still on this regenerative perspective, remember we found that toward this global or borderless digital heritage preservationist collaboration toward our common future, we have realized that it's a close cutting, it's a collaboration. It's from preservation to connection to activation, now regeneration, and as we wonder how can we ensure that future generations become creators rather than merely inheritors. The 12 sustainable development goals, it talks likely to emphasizing on a sustainable consumption and responsible production and responsible consumption. So there is no way if one region, one part of the group becomes the contributors, creators, and the rest of the globe becomes only consumers. There is nowhere to go. The diversity we're talking about, there isn't. So even though some are still yet prioritizing the digitalization, however, those who have advanced also, they not treating themselves as gods, because we are seeing people who are setting the standard of digital heritage, digital twin, what and what, for the sake of having, copyright and intellectual property protection, having various strategies, and the copyright, the patent, the trademark, there's a business secret. However, the patent likely to become critical for industrial perspective. So for this, how can we ensure the future generation become creators rather than the mere inheritors? We may start by the programs, accessibility. First of all, there is something preserved and there is accessibility. So along these resources, we can create the interacting programs from early childhood development, within the educational system up to the tertiary education level. So, again, I'd like to rebuke the so-called international organization to not only consider the degrees. We provide the research fund for the masters, for the PhD candidates, and leave behind the knowledge bearers now. We found how to make this fair access to finance, and the spirit of sharing also is critical. What governance models can sustain a global digital heritage movement? Frankly speaking, the governance models can sustain a global digital heritage movement. It's having a common understanding, leaving behind those supremacy, bringing this conventional dialogue. The conventional resource mobilization, resource sharing. Don't say you're bringing a fund or grants and you'd like to assign someone from you to control how it's being used, which is good. However, when it comes with the condition, you're going to use it like this, sometimes we have realized that the more transformative the projects they are, the less likely to be prone to be invested in. And as we concluding this reflection, I'd like to say the regeneration means ensuring that cultural memory remains alive, adaptive, and meaningful in every generations. I'd like to repeat this. Regeneration means ensuring that cultural memory remains alive, adaptive, and meaningful in every generation. Not treating the culture as something passed away, as something we can't really, like the passive thing, This is an active, this is a living archive. This is the reason for all of this conversation we had since day one. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we heading to a conclusion, I'd like to pass through the next part of this. Yeah, we have assessed how these digital, I mean, the global, the borderless digital heritage preservationists ecosystem, how can be bridged to what sorry a moment, guys. Yes, yeah, we've been assessing how to really how to really breeding this borderless cultural, I mean, heritage preservationist ecosystem toward a common future. We've assessed what does really preserve means along the way. What does really connection means along the way? What does really activation means along the way? And critically, the generation leave us something to consider as we're ensuring that cultural memory remains alive, adaptive, and meaningful in every generation. So, without any further ado, let's continue with. I would like now to hear directly from participants. Please, in the comment section, share one heritage practice that future generations should never lose. From your national level, regional level, what do you think could be one heritage practice that the future generation should never lose? For me, particularly in Rwanda, one heritage practice that future generations should never lose, I can mention harvest, celebrating the harvest, umuganura. This harvest celebration day is all about celebrating what we have achieved. However, also what we are intending to do for the next and coming years. So, again, from your perspective, drop in the comment also one challenge facing the heritage preservation in your community. For us, the digital adaptation. Still a challenge. For the sake of authenticity, when it comes to the digitalization, we found like the equipments are a bit expensive, and yeah, special. Also, the skills are still evolving. However, yeah, we are trying to rope the gap, and again, we would like to have your insight on one opportunity for global collaboration. What do you think could be, could be one opportunity for global collaboration? For us, I think one opportunity for global collaboration is this connectivity. If you are watching us from around the world and you can hear what we are saying and you can catch what we are really bringing on table, it really shows an opportunity. Internet connectivity, it's something to consider and abide to it so that we may be not left behind any community, any generation, any. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are still looking forward. Let me pass through the comment section and see if we can find someone who dropped a comment in. And yeah, is there somebody who dropped a comment? Let me assess. We are sorry for some of the inconvenience of the connectivity. So we are about to finish up our daily session, and as we're concluding to the conclusion, we may say that the purpose of today's gathering is not simply to discuss ideas, but to begin shaping a collaborative movement. And along this shaping this collaborative movement, I'd like you to respond. All, yeah, you may wonder yourself or drop in the comment, what should be the foundational principles of borderless digital heritage ecosystem? I mean, what should be the foundational principles of a borderless digital heritage ecosystem? And beyond of that, I'd like to, as you're responding to that, also I'd like to drop one other question. What roles should communities, institutions, researchers, and technology innovators play? And again, what commitments are we willing to make today? There we go. Yeah, from dialogue to the execution. What are... Sorry. Yeah. So thank you so much for your contribution. I'm seeing what you guys are responding over there. And we invite participants to identify concrete ways they can contribute the knowledge. Do you have a knowledge? Are you a researcher? Do you want to partner? Are you technology tech nerd? Are you community? Do you like to engage? Are you, educational initiatives? You have cultural documentation projects. We got a lot. So throughout our discussion, several themes have emerged. That heritage is living. That preservation must be participatory. That connection strengthens cultural resilience. And again, that activation creates relevance, and that the generation ensures continuity. Together, there's principles from the foundation of a living archive. As we conclude, I leave everyone with the question at the heart of this conversation. What cultural knowledge, tradition, memory, or heritage practice should the future generation never lose? To answer the question may well define the future we are building together. So thank you for joining this founding conversation. We invite you to stay engaged with IRAGE and the Digital Heritage Preservationist platform as we continue building a borderless ecosystem where cultural memory is preserved, connected, activated, regenerated for a common future. Because every voice matters and every heritage story belongs. This is the end of our today's session. Thanks you so much wherever you've been watching us, and do not hesitate to reach out to us if you find that is a way to collaborate. Remember, we are preserving, we are connecting, we are activating, but also we are regenerative. This is innovation for regenerative African generational excellence through our flagship product, Digital Heritage Preservationist platform. we very keen to breathing this live digital infrastructure for Africa's cultural assets. And IRAGE Technologies also, remember, are here to provide to you some of the digital solution. Do you really want to go live? Do you want to go digital? The digital footprints are matters within this digital age. Do not hesitate to reach out to us. And thank you so much. See your host, Elisha Clever. And it was wonderful to have you all with us today. See you. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful night. And have a wonderful day wherever you are. See you for the A Living Archive July series. Thank you so much.